fortunate for us, we had duplicates of everything already. Me and my brother, along with the Miss Madison team, for years we've always known you had two of everything to really go out and run for the national championship. So we've always had at least two rudders, two skid fins, two extra brackets, two of everything that it takes to make it happen. So when we decided to run two boats last year, it was pretty easy. We had two boats. The only thing we really didn't have was two trucks, and luckily Eric Elstrom lent us his to get through the year. Now we've taken care of that. We bought another truck ourselves, so we'll be a lot better prepared this year. Just about everything. When we built the new boat in 2018, the main goal was to make it interchangeable with the existing boat. The thing ran real well. The old boat did. We had lots of spare hardware that we could use on both boats, so it saved us. So the idea was try to copy what we already had. We want to be national championship. Obviously, the HomeStreet deal will probably be the primary boat there because right now the John Goodman boat's just going to be running the West Coast, so it'll be behind in points. But we obviously would like to win with either hull when we get to Pasco and Seattle. The guys behind the cockpit, when they leave the dock, they're both going to have some really good stuff. It's up to them when they leave the dock. Once we got back from San Diego, the first thing we took on was the motor program. Went through all 5 motors that we had run last year. We got 4 of them done. The other ones, right now we're finishing the PT assembly up on it, so it'll be done here in a couple more weeks. We went through fuel controls. Everybody was having problems with fuel controls last year. We got our flow bench working again, so we went through 42 fuel controls this winter, just trying to find good ones, so we knew we had enough backups for ourselves as well as anybody else in the sport if they deem they need one. Because running these peels and running the motors restricted the way we do, it's hard on the fuel controls. So that was the big effort that went on for about 3 months this winter, was just fuel controls themselves. I didn't think there was that many crazy guys out in this sport. Thought that we were the only nuts there was, but no, that's difficult. It's a tough deal to run 2 boats and keep everybody happy, both drivers, both crews. It's a tough thing to do. Luckily, we had the advantage with Miss Madison. We were able to use most of our core group because it's a big group. We got a bunch of people out here on the West Coast. We have a bunch of people in Indiana. So we have a big group to pick from, and it worked fairly well. It spread me a little thin because I'm used to just one boat and concentrate on that all the time. So dividing my time amongst 2 boats was a little bit difficult, but got a little bit of experience at it now, so I'm sure I'll do a little bit better this year. I would imagine there'll probably be some race strategy involved amongst the teams. If a guy's crazy enough to run 2 boats, he ought to have some kind of advantage over the guy that's only going to run one. Right. Because it really is a disadvantage to run 2 boats. You are cutting back the talent pool. You're dividing in half. The pool of equipment you're dividing in half. So it does drain from the main race team. It really does. So there ought to be an advantage for the guys that want to do that because we need them. We need the boat count. We need the owners to run as many boats as they think they can competitively and safely. We started in the 1964 Tahoe's Miss. It started out as a gray ghost. We're going to restore it as the maroon and green, some color. Because the gray ghost is hard to see. You put a gray boat on a water, especially in Seattle, in the gray skies, where's the boat? So, the maroon deal is what we're going to do. We're going to paint it up as maroon.
How many boats have you restored? Old boats?
Oh, several. It started out with the Dixon Smith Bardall. Me and Larry did that back in, I think basically 1998 through 2001. We did that on the off season. During the winter, we would work on Dixon's boat, and then come about May, we'd quit working on it, get Jones's boat ready to go run and go race Jones's boat. So that's how it started. And then the museum hauled me in to help them on doing the Wahoo boat that we, built a replica basically of. And then it was the Pan Pack, the 2-wing wonder that we did for Ken Muscatel, and now Steve Hayden's Tahoe Miss. So really enjoy it. I like working on that. I prefer to work with wood rather than fiberglass. I'm a wood butcher by trade. Unfortunately, the Harris we're working on is basically an all aluminum boat. There's very little wood in it at all. So, But aluminum don't itch like fiberglass, so it's still fun.
Right.
Yeah, there's a couple, and I actually think we'll probably get to them. You know, the Budweiser pay and pack boat before the two-wing pay and pack. The Budweiser that ran against the two-wing. There was talk of us doing that. That'd be fun. And then the boat I crashed, the Sutphen Spirit.
The Sutphen Spirit out of Florida. Mike Hanson, the driver out of Seattle.
Which was originally the first pay and pack turbine that Dave Bartouche has. I think I'd have an interest in taking that back to the original pay and pack. Boy, favorite? I mean, that would probably be Jones's boat, you know, because we didn't have a lot of money to spend. We were a low budget team, but we were running with the big boys, and the big boys being the Budweiser boat at the time. And we ran well, we ran respectable on a really tight budget. So it'd probably be my favorite. One of my favorite memories was actually getting to drive my favorite boat, which was always the Budweiser when I was a kid, and getting thrown into it Saturday in between heats into the Gold Cup, you know, in Detroit. We ended up, you know, not making the front row, so we ended up getting like third, I believe that, but we won the next weekend. So I actually got to win a boat race with the Bernie and all that gang, so that was a lot of fun. But, you know, I enjoy them all. I like working on them. I like building them. But yeah, Jones's is probably the favorite for me. No, just don't. I mean, these turbines are so efficient, so much horsepower, so durable. You know, there's a reason why there's not piston airplanes hauling passengers around. It just is, and that's because these motors are much more efficient. Now, if we detune the turbines even more to try to make it to where an automotive boat can be competitive, you're still running the automotive deal at the edge of technology, the edge of its efficiency, and you're going to have failures. And quite frankly, they're expensive. So I like the idea. I like the noise. I miss the noise from the old Merlins and the Allison days, and the blown engine of an automotive would obviously add to that. But the reality is, you crunch the numbers, it just ain't going to happen. Dean Chenoweth. Yeah, Dean was a class act, good thinker, you know, and just class all the way around. Yeah. Yeah, Budweiser was always, when I was a small kid. As I grew up and had to start racing against it, it wasn't so much my favorite no more. They had a lot more tools, parts and pieces to work with than we did, so that was a disadvantage for us. But yeah, it was always the Budweiser when I was a kid. Actually, this is kind of unique. When I was 3 years old, I was sitting on my dad's shoulders at the Seattle Seafair race when the Tahoe Miss ran over the back of the Notre Dame.
Jack Regas driving the Notre Dame right there in the center of your picture, and that's the Lapeer with Warner Gardner coming up on the outside. And the Notre Dame bouncing, and it's exploded. The Notre Dame has exploded as going into the south turn. The Notre Dame has come apart, and Harris Club hits the Notre Dame, flies into the air.
Crash. That's one of the earliest memories I have of boat racing. I'd have been a little over 3 years old at the time. Been to every Tri-Cities race since we've been over there. That was our summer vacation when I was kids, going over there. And yeah, there's a lot of good ones.